All right, so this is a map of the floor, and I'll tell you how I created this. Try to be brief. Just gonna do some. Okay. So let me just grab these, and okay, maybe I don't need to do that. All right, so all right, I need to make this smaller. All right. Okay, so sorry. All right, so I measured out the room in inches. Let me grab this. So this length of the room is 176 inches. The width is 161 inches. I do inches because then I can measure how many planks I can fit. And here's how I do that. I have the measurements of the planks, which I got from the box that came in. The planks are 8.66 inches wide and 47.64 inches long. So what I do is I take the measurement of the length and divide that by the length of the board, because I'm laying them lengthwise. Okay, so I want to see how many of these fit in here, and I don't want to end up with like 2 inches at the very end. I'm starting on this edge, and once I lay them all down here, I don't want to have a very small area that I'm doing. Okay, so I divide the 176 inches by 47.64 inches, and I think it's like 3.9. It was fine. So and then width-wise, I did the same thing. I divided the width, 161 inches, by the okay, by the width of each board, 8.66 inches. So that comes out to 18.6 planks wide, which means 0.6 is a little bit more than half of a plank, so that'll be fine. And we'll end up with that on this wall. So then I also wanted to see how these, when I lay in these, when I hit this closet wall here, this section, this is the back of the closet, and these are these are the openings of the closet. There's 2 of them, one here, one there, but the wall sections that we're going to have to go around, this one is 146 inches to here, which is 3.06 planks. So we'll be fine there. We'll end up cutting off a little piece here. This is 10 inches wide, so we'll just start on the other end and finish up. And once we get to the next plank, since they're 8.5 inches wide, we'll end up with a plank that will have to get notched around that, and we'll just cut into it. 8.66 inches. We'll end up with about 1.5 inches that we'll have to notch out of this, because 10 inches minus the board. Let's see, once we get here, it'll take up, most of that. Anyways, so yeah, we're trying to figure out how the boards are going to line up, and what we're going to do once we get there. And the same thing for this edge, and how we end up here, how so once we get to this edge, we'll see how the boards are going to line up with what I'm going to try to stick with this pattern here, which is a full length, a quarter length, a 3/4 length. Okay, let me grab this. So it's a full length, quarter length, 3/4 length, and half. And we do this so that these edges don't line up across. So there's no determinable pattern that you can easily see once all the floor is laid, though the bed will cover up a good portion of the room anyways. So that's the plan. Once we get to where this is, we'll have to see how things are going to end up. So this is still 146 inches to here, and that should be the same there. So we'll see 3.06 planks. If we have to start with a half, that should be fine. So once we get there, we'll see how things are going to line up with whatever we're planning on laying here in this row, if that makes sense. So whatever we start off with here, we'll have to measure out and see how the boards are going to line up and meet this. It should be fine no matter what length of board we're starting off with, because we'll notch around it or whatever. So I measured to the wall. It's 10.5 planks wide. So when we notch, we'll have to notch out about half the plank that will go around it. This one is 8.6 planks to here, so that's good too. This one is 17.4 planks to this thing where I got the notch around there. So that all works out. So that's what I do, is I measure the room in inches, and then I figure out how things are going to line up left to right. What I'm going to end up with, 18.6 planks, is I'm going to end up with 0.4 of a plank, or end up with 0.6 of a plank, 18 planks, and then a little bit more than half of the width of a plank, which will be fine here. And the same thing for this distance here. It ends up being 3.7 planks. So that'll be fine too. It's more than half of a plank long that will end up here. Of course, that will change once we're laying these different length pieces here, but it should be fine. Yeah, so that's basically it. You just measure the room in inches, figure out where all the planks are going to line up, how they're going to end up, and make sure that you don't have really small pieces that you're going to have to lay at the end or at this edge.